A buddy of mine, Bailey Sweeney, recently left this comment on one of my videos, wondering if I could talk a little bit more about dysphoria. Bailey is actually another YouTuber, by the way. He's a vlogger, and if you want to check out some of his content, you should look here. Now, I actually have made videos about dysphoria before, but it was funny that Bailey made this comment when he did, because the way I think about it has definitely changed since my last video on it. In my last video, which I made several years ago, I talk a lot about knowing your triggers and certain coping mechanisms. A big coping technique for me has always been going to the gym, but I also might sit down and have a cup of tea, or take a bath, or just talk to a friend about it for a while. I'd say over the past year or so, those things haven't been working as well for me as they used to. While going to the gym used to fix my dysphoria, now it's kind of a bottom bar for maintaining it and doesn't really take care of the spikes that I sometimes experience. And the same old relaxing coping skills I used to do don't really work as well as they used to. Instead, I've had to rely on reflection, and in particular, reflection on what gender dysphoria is. In the medical world right now, gender dysphoria is defined as when one's biological sex does not align with one's gender identity. But that doesn't really tell me a lot about what I'm feeling. Personally, I would describe the way I experience dysphoria to be vulnerability, or a sense of discomfort, or not feeling at home in one's body. When it gets really bad for me, it actually manifests itself physically as sort of a itching or scratching feeling. You can tell I'm feeling really dysphoric when I start pulling at my clothes because something just doesn't feel right about my body in that moment. But even that doesn't tell me about the source of my dysphoria. Where is it coming from? Why am I feeling it? And so I start thinking, okay, in a dream world, what would make me stop feeling dysphoria? And the answers came super quickly. I'd like a more defined jawline and a straighter body with less hips. I want muscles and height and the ability to grow facial hair. I want a deeper voice, broader set shoulders, freaking bigger feet maybe. Thinking about it this way helped me realize that my dysphoria doesn't come from me. It comes from the world around me and what the world around me perceives to be masculine. There is this drive instilled in all men, both trans and cis, to fit some sort of ideal. And you know what I'm talking about, the kind of guys you see in model ads with the six-pack abs and the big pecs. I'm talking about the cis-straight white male protagonist in all of your favorite Marvel movies. And so then when I realized that this is the source of my dysphoria, I also realized how stupid that is. Because I don't subscribe to any of those ideals. I don't believe in a binary of gender or an ideal male or female. I believe that gender is a spectrum and there is validity and beauty in all different ways of expressing that spectrum. I don't care about the way somebody dresses or how fit they are or whether or not they present themselves in a manly way. It says nothing about whether or not they are male to me. And I think there is so much beauty in expressing that masculinity in a myriad of ways. So if I'm refusing to hold anybody else to that ridiculous binary sense of male identity, why am I holding myself to it? I should also be allowed to express my masculinity and my gender identity in any way I want. Coming to that conclusion has helped a lot. It definitely hasn't cured my dysphoria. My dysphoria ebbs and flows and changes with myself and my own gender identity, and as frustrating as that is, it means it's something I'm going to have to constantly grapple with. But understanding that the social constructs that influence my dysphoria are ones that I consider invalid and oppressive has helped a lot. Self-love is a huge, important part of my personal politics, and sometimes I need to remember that that isn't something I just encourage other people to do. And anytime I start trying to conform for the sake of dysphoria, I need to kind of stop and say, hey, am I practicing self-love here? Am I allowing myself to take up space and to be queer and trans and my own version of masculine? It's one of those instances where the phrase, my existence is resistance, really reigns true for me. Because I hope that in loving myself as I am and as I want to and choose to express, I can encourage other people to do the same. So, Bailey, I hope that answered your question. Remember, both for you and for anybody else watching, that everybody's own experience with gender and dysphoria and all the things that come with it is different and unique. I do not speak for all trans or queer people. In fact, I speak for nobody besides myself. Which is why I would love to hear from you and have a conversation. There's a whole space for that below this video. If you want to leave a comment and tell me a little bit about maybe how you experience dysphoria or struggle with self-love, maybe some of your own coping skills, I'd love to know. Let's talk, let's chat. And if this is the first time you're seeing my lovely face on the internet, my name is Connor O'Keefe. I'm a trans man. I'm also a vlogger, I guess, a documentarian, and I make a video on this channel once a week. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of me. I really appreciate the support. But otherwise, I will see you next week.